The hollowed blackened shell of this office building is surrounded by trees, dry brush, and even this large propane tank, and inside, 500 rounds of exploding ammunition greeted firefighters. Fortunately, Deer Creek is still open for business, welcoming campers, boaters, and fishers without a hitch. Reservation logs were backed up for them. Our bus driver, Scott Wheeler, tells us that if you think driving a bus is difficult, try operating a TRAX train. Jack and Joanne Weir received this letter from the health department. It was sent to their Colville home. They lacked a signature from a top official, and the seal at the very top was faded, so they didn't know if they could trust the letter. It did offer some free credit protection services, but they didn't know if the letter was legitimate. Compounding all the frustration here in Tooele County with this emergency construction, this is the only way for commuters to get from Tooele to Salt Lake County. They have to sit in traffic. They have nowhere else to go. Meantime, the family is still wondering from police what charges will be filed, if any, against the driver that struck Ambrosia and her mother. And the father, Cody Ramsire, is just hoping for something to be done. Some officers can go through their entire careers and never fire their guns.
Those officers are called lucky officers.
Officers who are not so lucky can end up talking to Cottonwood Heights psychologist Mark Zalig. Zalig has seen it from both sides. He retired from a career in law enforcement 13 years ago. Now he helps officers cope with life-altering encounters.
Even though they prepare themselves to take a human life, it's really not something any of them relish doing, and many of them go to bed at night praying that they'll never have to do that.
They didn't put on that badge that day to say, let's go kill somebody.
13 years ago, 3 Salt Lake City police officers encountered 18-year-old Edgar Hernandez. After a struggle, he was shot and killed. Hernandez's family has now spoken with all of the officers involved and shared words of forgiveness.
I talked to them about what they can expect in the future.
Zalig did not counsel those officers, but if he had, he says he would remind them that they are reacting to situations they cannot anticipate. They have only a split second to assess if they can use non-lethal means.
The officers are being trained to continue to shoot until the threat is neutralized. So that doesn't necessarily mean the person's always killed. The shooting ends when it's no longer necessary.
After those shots are fired and when counseling begins, Zalig assures officers that their sessions will not be used against them. He then tells them that their experiences are normal, and Zalig urges them to get all of their families involved in therapy. After all, they almost lost a spouse, a parent, a sibling. In the case of Edgar Hernandez, the family believes he may have wanted to die at the hands of police that day. He was down on his luck and wanted to get away from gangs and drugs.
Could my brother have killed himself? No. So what's the best other way that you can accomplish a goal that you don't have the courage to do?
Hernandez's family tells us that his shooting took such a toll on one officer in particular, he was able to go back to work, but never to return back to the streets. Just one example of how an officer-involved shooting changes many lives. In Salt Lake City, Peter Samore, KSL 5 News. Metropolitan Isaiah is not mincing words.
And it is the will of God for this parish to be in existence. There was too much negativity, which is not normal in an Orthodox Christian setting.
The spiritual leader of local Greek Orthodox Christians was in town to lead the Divine Liturgy at the Greek Orthodox Mission Parish of Utah in Cottonwood Heights.
I say it honestly, and God is my witness. I have nothing against anyone in Holy Trinity or Prophet Elias who may have said anything against me, and they said a lot of things against me.
About 2 years ago, fighting over clergy salaries and lay leadership prompted Isaiah to order his clergy not to celebrate the Divine Liturgy until conflicts were resolved, although he says he values the work of the laity.
The priest is the spiritual head, and without the priest, you don't have a church anymore, you have a club.
Last year, Isaiah gave his blessing to about 100 parishioners to start a third church.
It's clearly the hand of God that's been with us to see this kind of thing happen in such a short time.
In April, the mission moved into a rented space at St. Thomas More Roman Catholic Church in Cottonwood Heights. Parishioners converted it from a storage room to a chapel.
We are the third parish. There is no sense of impermanence whatsoever.
Parishioners at the Greek Orthodox Mission still have family and friends at the other 2 parishes, but they say all sides are working toward forgiveness.
And I think that there's plenty of opportunity for other parishes throughout all of Utah.
Metropolitan Isaiah hopes to assign a full-time priest and also a patron saint to this new mission in the near future. Peter Samore, KSL 5 News.